welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my first video and it's about I'm moving to Germany and I don't want to move to Germany. I'm moving to Germany against my will, and this is that story. My friends thought that if I made some YouTube videos that it would be therapeutic for me to get my feelings out there and put them on the internet and hope that it helps somebody else. That's possibly in this situation. I don't know who else would be. Most people want to move to Germany, but I don't. So this is that story. This is my first YouTube video. I'm nervous. I feel kind of awkward, so excuse me. I also have my iPad because I took notes on things that I want to talk about to keep me on track. So let's get started. Long story short, my husband's in the military. That's why we're moving to Germany. But I want to give some background and context into who we are, what he does, and why he chose Germany, why I don't want to go. Just some background information to show the perspective. So I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina. I grew up in the same house, on the same street my entire life until my mom sold my childhood home when I was 23. So I grew up in a very stable environment. My parents got divorced when I was in middle school and my dad moved a lot, but my mom for the most part stayed. She stayed in the same house my entire childhood. And so I went to school with the same kids from kindergarten to 12th grade. My husband, on the other hand, he grew up an army brat. His dad was in the army, so he grew up a little bit everywhere. And one of those places that he grew up was in Germany. And he spent a significant amount of time in his early childhood in Germany. I think they went there when he was 2 or 3, and then they came back to the United States when he was going into 2nd grade, I believe. So he spent a large chunk of his early childhood in Germany, and he loved it. He has very fond memories of living in Germany. He likes to say that he wouldn't be the person he is today if he hadn't spent those formative years in Germany. And he loves German food, German beer, German brands, German cars. He's always had a special place in his heart for Germany. So he grew up in Germany. His parents kind of settled in North Carolina, and so that's how we met. We both went to a North Carolina university. We went to Appalachian State. We did not go to North Carolina State University, but we both went to college in North Carolina at App State, and that's how we met. From our first date, we were engaged less than a year later, and then legally married about a month after we got engaged. We had our big wedding about 9 to 10 months after we got engaged, and then we moved to our first duty station, which was Fort Stewart, Georgia. How do I put this? I learned from moving away from home that I am not the kind of person that handles change very well. I thought I was. I thought that I was pretty resilient when it came to change with having divorced parents, but I guess I'm not. I don't do well mentally with big changes, and moving to Fort Stewart was a big change. I had not only had I just gotten married and I had never lived with my husband before, we had not lived together before, so we were married and living together and in a new state. That's just the half of it. Also that year my mom had breast cancer, surgery to remove the breast cancer. The grandmother that had lived with me in my home my entire life passed away. My mom sold our childhood home. She remarried, moved to a new area also, and it was just a lot of changes. So when we moved to Fort Stewart, Georgia, it kind of all hit me at once, all of the changes, because I also was unemployed. I forgot that was also a big change. I had was unemployed. I had worked my entire life and I quit my job to move to Georgia, and so now I was going through a lot and I was very depressed at Fort Stewart. Looking back now, I really enjoyed living there, and I'm glad that we got to live so close to home because our parents were both only 4 hours away. So we were able to go home a lot, and we had family visit us a lot, which I'm so thankful for because I also tore my ACL when my son was 4 months old and was able to have family come and stay with me for like 3 months. It was like my mom came, my in-laws came, my mom came again, my husband's grandmother came, and they were all able to stay with me and help me take care of my son when I got hurt. And I think that's one of the things that I am struggling with about moving to Germany, because we have really, really great family. I love my in-laws. They are the best people in the world. My mom, I had appendix surgery a couple weeks ago, and my mom was able to just drop everything and come to Texas, where we live now, to help me. And knowing that I'm not going to have that support system in Germany is a big part of why I don't want to go. Okay, back to, I mentally don't handle change very well. So I was depressed when we moved to Fort Stewart, and then I eventually found a nanny job, which kind of pulled me out of that depression because I had a purpose. I had someplace to go to get me out of the house, and I truly loved being a nanny to the 2 precious little girls that I took care of, and they brought me so much joy. Then I got pregnant with my son in 2020, had him. I had severe postpartum depression and anxiety because I think, again, huge life change, I think, triggers that depression and anxiety in me. And then as I was kind of coming out of that, I tore my ACL, which put me in another depression. And I kind of I had a lot of ups and downs at Fort Stewart. It was a happy time because I was newly married, we had our son, but it was also sad because I was depressed and I didn't want to be. I felt like I had no reason to be, but that was just something that was part of, it felt like I couldn't help it. We lived in Fort Stewart for 3 years, and then in 2022 we moved to Fort Leonard Wood. I think we were there 10, 11 months, but I truly loved Missouri. I got pregnant with my daughter while we were there, and then during my pregnancy we moved to Texas. I did not want to move to Texas either. I was also pregnant. I had really hard pregnancies. I had my daughter in July, which Texas in July is, when you're 9 months pregnant, is absolutely miserable. I had her, and I knew that I was probably going to have postpartum depression and anxiety again with her because I had it with my son, and so I was kind of on top of it that time and was able to get on medication. During this time I was also diagnosed with bipolar 2 disorder, and I am currently on medication for it and have been on medication for it since I was postpartum with my daughter. We have been living in Texas now for 3 years, a little over 3 years. Not that I love the location as much. I would much rather be in North Carolina, but I love the routines that I have made here, the activities I have my kids in, the people I've met. I've got really good friends here, and just the life that we've built here in Texas is the happiest I've ever been in my life. And I think that's why it's so hard to say goodbye here, because of the people and the places that where I'm attached to. And yeah, I knew obviously that we were gonna have to move. That's just the way it is. And when my husband's marketplace opened back in September, there were a lot of European options on this list, and so I knew that my husband was going to go after the Germany one. There was like 5 or 6 Germany openings. There's Poland, Romania, Belgium, Italy, Japan. There are so many international positions available in his marketplace. I also know that those are very competitive and sought after duty stations. To be honest, I didn't think that it was going to be likely that we would be assigned a European duty station, just with how popular they are. It's everyone goes for those. And so in my head I was like, okay, like my husband's gonna go for them, but the chances of us getting a European duty station are slim because of how popular and competitive it is. We also had some really good stateside options in the marketplace. There was Fort Knox, which would put us significantly closer to family in North Carolina, and there was another opening at Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri, which I would be thrilled to go back to Missouri. I loved it there so much. His marketplace opened in September of 2025, and he started interviewing and doing a lot of that interviewing and getting callbacks. And during this time, I personally was very busy with the kids. I had just started homeschooling. They were in a lot of new activities, and so I guess me and my husband were not communicating the way we needed to be when it came to this marketplace job decision. I trust my husband, and he has really great decision-making skills, and so I kind of just put it in his hands without even really thinking about it, because I had a lot going on and I should have been more involved with it. I guess I should have thought to be more involved with it, and I just wasn't, because my husband put Germany as his top choices and interviewed really well and was offered a one-to-one match. The way I found out about the one-to-one match was not the best, because we were at dinner with my husband's brother and his new girlfriend, and I think this was like the first time we had met her. It might have been the second time, I don't know, but I know that I made a horrible first impression on her, because when we were at dinner, my husband and his brother were talking, and his brother was asking about the marketplace and how it was going, and my husband was like, oh, I got my one-to-one match. And it didn't click in my head at first, because I was talking to her and they were kind of having a separate conversation, and when I was like, wait a second, we're moving where? We're moving to Germany? What? And then that's when he explained the one-to-one match system, which I had known about. I hadn't put too much thought into how the marketplace works. I had like a vague understanding of it, but the way it works is anyone that's eligible for a job opening is like put into this system, and any job that is going to be open is put into the system, and there's like a list of them. Each one ranks the ones that they want the most at the top to the ones they want the least, and they have to rank all of them. Like each service member has to rank each of the jobs in order from like what they want the most to the least, and each of the jobs have to rank each of the service members from the ones they want the most to the least. And then the Army does its thing and matches them up. He got a call back saying that if my husband would one-to-one match with them, they would close their marketplace, stop doing interviews, stop looking, and that would be it. And my husband was like, yep, I will one-to-one match with you. The likelihood of us getting our one-to-one match when it's offered like that is, I think, like 80%. I had not known that prior to this dinner we were at, and so my husband explained that to me at that dinner, and I burst into tears. I didn't want to go to Europe. We have 2 small kids. We have a cat and a dog, and I didn't want to go. I still don't want to go. My husband, with his background and living there and his perspective, he wants our kids to experience what he experienced as a kid. He thought I understood that if a Germany job was on the table, he was going to take it no matter what. And I didn't. Like, I knew it, but I didn't think it would be a reality. You don't really know your official assignment until months later, and so we were able to have the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and I kind of just forgot about it, put it in the back of my mind because it wasn't official. And then January we got our assignment notification. The thought of moving to a foreign country with 2 small kids, and just knowing my history, my mental health history, was hard. That's kind of where I'm at right now. My next video, I'd like to go into a little bit more detail on the actual process of getting there. Like once you get your notification, being enrolled in EFMP and the travel screenings, and like the process after you get your notification to getting there, because it's a lot and it's overwhelming, and I wish there was someone that could explain it to me, and I'm figuring it all out now. But we probably will not get there until this fall, so we still have some time here in the United States, and we'll see where it goes.